All right, so today, this is our first day on the Koala game, if you've chosen that game to do today. We're just going to do the simple stuff today, creating the room, our first room, creating a wall object, and then creating Koala object as well. So let's just make those sprites right at the start. Here's sprite Koala. Let's go find the sprites for that. That'd be here. And the koala we want, it's sometimes nice to show the tiles so you can see what they look like. And here's the standing koala, that's the one we want. And we want to remove the background on that one. And we'll shut off precise collision checking, and we'll set full image for the bounding box and rectangle for the shape. This is another type of maze game, so you probably want to use those same settings like we've done in the past. All right, we also need a wall sprite. And in this game, we're actually not going to use this sprite for very long. We're going to replace this with something called tiles. And we'll go over that on a later date. But we do have a default wall sprite, and it's just a big black box. You don't want to remove the background. Say open. Note that our sprites are 40 by 40. Let's create objects for each of those sprites. Now in this game, we're going to have one player object. It's going to be called Object Koala, but it's going to have lots of different sprites associated with it. So that's a little bit different. We'll use our standing koala sprite. That's enough for now. And then we'll create the wall sprite. We're going to make it solid. Call it good. Choose the sprite for it. That's better. And then go and create a room. Again, our sprites are 40 by 40, so you can do that. And we can start drawing in the walls. Now, the way we want to do the maze in this game is we want to leave the top of the screen without a wall, because this is where we're going to draw how many koalas have gotten out of the room. There's different buttons up there too. So your default room should be something like this. Might be nice to also set the background, so we can go out and grab the background. I usually don't name the backgrounds because we don't ever refer to them later on. So here's the background. It's like a tiled floor or something. Okay, so we have our background, and then inside of our room, we can just add that background. We can put our koala in the room. Not going to do much quite yet, but at least we have a koala. Now, what's nice about doing the walls like this is you don't have to be really fancy about setting up the maze. You can just kind of draw in blocks by holding down the Shift key. So maybe this is your maze. Really not a maze game, more of a puzzle game, but you are kind of traversing it this way. Okay, so maybe that's our test room. We're just trying to see if we can get the koala to move. All right, so now we have to give the koala some behavior. And what we want to do is I'm going to show you how to do the left, how to make the koala go to the left. And the way this is going to work is we're not going to wait for the koala to collide with the wall. We're just going to check to the left to see if it's free, and then we'll allow the koala to walk that direction. But we do need another sprite. Here's the standing koala. We need one more to do the left. So we say sprite koala left. We'll load that sprite. Now again, in this game, see how the animation looks like he's walking around to the left. Remove the background on that. We should set up the collision mask the way we did before, full image, rectangle. Say OK there. Now, in this game, we don't actually make a left koala. It's still the same koala, it's just using a different sprite. So here's our koala. The event that will cause us to change sprites is keyboard event, and we're going to use the left arrow. Now, in order to get this all lined up, just like in other maze games, you have to check to see if you're aligned with the grid before you do anything. First thing we're going to do in this event is we're going to check our alignment. That's this one. A lot of people get this one confused with the box to force the alignment. Here we're just checking to see if it's aligned. So it's shaped like a hexagon. And our grid is 40 by 40. And if it's not aligned with the grid, then we're just going to exit. Okay? There's nothing to do because we're going to wait until the koala moves to wherever it's going before we try to turn left. If this weren't aligned with the grid, it would indicate that the koala is still in motion. And we need to wait till it stops before we go into a new direction, perhaps. So next what we want to do is to check to see if there's an object in the way. And what we're looking for is an object wall. And we want to check to our left because that's the direction we want to go. So that would be -40 relative. So if there's not a wall to our left, then we pull out a startup block, and we want to start. Well, first we want to change the sprite. So let's do that first. Here we change the sprite to object koala left, or sprite koala left. We'll leave the speed at 1 and the subimage at 0. That will change the sprite to the left moving sprite, and it will also start the animation so it looks like he's walking. And then we want to set the speed to the left at 5. Now you got to make sure that this number you put in for speed divides evenly into 40, which is our grid size. If you choose a value that's not, that doesn't evenly divide into the grid size, then you're going to have a lot of problems with koalas getting stuck on walls and things like that. So we're going to say 5 here. Now in the case where there is something in the way, so let me close off this block. Now remember, these blocks are, when you see a hexagon, that means you're asking a question, and you're saying, if this question is true, then do these things here. If you only have one thing, you don't need to put in the start and end of block. But if you have more than one thing that you want controlled by this hexagon, you have to surround it with a start block and an end block. Now in the case where there is a wall in the way, we would just say else. There's only one of two possibilities. Either there's a wall there or there's not a wall there. You don't have to ask the question again, hey, is there not a wall there? You already know the answer to that. So when there's not a wall there, then what we want to do is we want to stop our motion. We already know that we're aligned, so we can stop right there. Set the speed to 0, doesn't really matter. And then the important thing is to go back to the standing koala sprite. So here you'd say sprite, I guess, yeah, right here. The standing sprite, we'll set the sum image to -1 and the speed to 0. Make sure to also put an end block there. And then I think we have left figured out. Let's give that a try, see if this works. All right, so here's the koala. Notice he just blasted right through the walls. Okay. But he'd turn and go to the left, so that was cool. So next we're going to add a kind of a new event. It's called the begin step event. When you click on step, you have actually 3 choices: step, begin step, or end step. If we choose begin step, that means it will do this action before any of the keyboard actions get called. So we're going to choose a begin step event. And in here, we're going to check to see if we're aligned again. So we'll check our alignment. Remember, our grid size is 40 by 40. If we're aligned, then what we want to do is change the sprite, or we want to stop it. This happens so quickly, you're really not going to see it. But we'll stop it. Okay, and then change the sprite. And we'll do the standing koala sprite, subimage to -1, and the speed to 0. So let's see how that looks. Okay, so I move to the left, I go 1 square, and then I stop. Let's try that again, and I'll just hold down the left key. So here I'm holding down the left key, and it still stops. Still looks pretty nice. Now in the book, they suggest to try out some different ways of doing it. Say instead of a begin step, we just do a regular step event. And what I want to test is to see what the effect would have on the game if you used one of those other types of step. So here I am just holding down the step key again, and notice I'm not moving at all. Okay. So if I wait to see if it's aligned in the step event, nothing's happened yet, and so it gets stuck doing nothing. If my expectation, if we switch this to an end step event, I think we'll have the same problem, but we'll see. Because I think what happens is the movement and then the key and the step event cancel each other out, so it just stays put. Well, end steps seem to work. So I'm puzzled by that. But we're gonna switch it back to begin step anyway. So. Oops. Yeah, we just want to change the event. So now your job is to include the other 4 or 3 directions that the koala can go. You're going to have to create a different koala sprite for each of the directions. Don't create new koala objects for each of the directions. You only need 1 koala object, for at least when he's walking around. But it'll have multiple sprites associated with the koala. Okay. Do something similar in the left key press. Do one for right and up and down. Things you would change would be which direction you look. So again, these are relative positions. You would change the sprite to the one that corresponds with the direction the koala is going to be moving, and then make sure to set this correctly. Don't change the speed. I mean, your next speed that evenly divides into 40, I guess, is 10. That would be really fast. So maybe stick with speed at 5. And I think everything else would stay the same. So you just add in the other 3 directions, and then I think you're set.